Alright, so we're going to begin the video series with rhythm. And the reason why we're starting with rhythm is because even if you play all the right notes, notes that sound good with the chord changes that are moving by, um, if you play them at the wrong time, then they're the wrong notes, right? So let's start with rhythm. But before we jump into that, first I want to talk about is this thing called the practice triangle. I just want to talk about this briefly before we get started with this whole series. So in the triangle, one point is rhythm, another point is your pitch accuracy, okay, and then the last point is the tempo. And this is kind of like the goal tempo that you want to take this at. Now, in this practice triangle, these are the three things that you're aiming to do during a performance. Now, in the practice triangle, you can only do two of these at once while practicing. Okay, this is practice. Alright, so you can only pick two. It's like one of those, I don't know if you ever, this isn't a promotional thing or anything, but if you ever been to BJ's and they got those, you're trying to buy chips. I'm a big advocate for junk food at times. So, when you're buying those big bags of chips, it says pick two. Alright, you can't pick three of them. Three of those family-sized bags are not going to fit in that other plastic bag that they give you, alright? Some of you will know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so you can only pick two of these, and what that means is, like, let's say you wanted to work on your rhythm. That means you're going to play all the rhythms correctly, and then you get to pick one more. So let's say you're going to play all the rhythms correctly, and you're going to do it at tempo. So what that means is that you're going to play every single rhythm correctly in time at the tempo that you'd like for the performance, but you're not going to worry about the pitch. And so if you're not worried about the pitch, then maybe that means that you would clap through the piece, or you would play it all on one single note on like the tonic or something like that. Alright, another example might be if you want to do rhythm and pitch, is that you're going to nail all the rhythms perfectly and all the pitches perfectly, but you're not going to worry about the time. So you're going to do it at the slowest tempo possible that you can nail every single rhythm and every single pitch. And now if we're going back, clearly you know that I like to do rhythm. I like to keep rhythm in my own practice triangle, but now you could do pitch and tempo. And so that would be, you're playing all the correct pitches at the right, well, actually, now that I think of it, you can't even do that. So I guess that's why we're starting with rhythm. So you can't do that. Don't do that. Don't match these two up, because I'm not sure how that would work, doing it at tempo with all the correct pitches. But you can also, instead of picking two, you could just do one of these things if it is like the pitch or the rhythm, right? I don't know how you would do. You can't do anything at tempo without pitch or rhythm. I guess this is a flawed triangle, but we all have flaws, and I'm working out my teaching philosophy here. Okay, so anyway, or teaching techniques, I should say. So you could hit pitch with just doing all the pitches. You could do all the note names and all your fingerings going through, not at tempo, not in rhythm, or you could do only rhythm out of time and with no pitches, just clapping. All right, so there's a little practice technique type thing. Anyway, let's move on. So here, what I have is I'm going to call these rhythm cells. Okay. So these rhythm cells, each one of these is only one beat each. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, Chan, listen, man, I can handle more than one beat, and these are only quarter notes and eighth notes, all right? But there's a little more to this than you might think. So let's get this started. So each one of these rhythmic cells, this is just a one beat combinations of what you could possibly have with eighth notes and quarter notes. So as you can see, that's just a quarter note in cell 1. Cell 2 is two eighth notes. 3, I replaced the first eighth note with a rest. 4, I replaced the last eighth note with a rest. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get fluid going from cell to cell. So you could, I would suggest clapping this, or playing it on a tonic pitch that you're comfortable with on your instrument. So I'm just going to clap this right now. So I'm just going to go beat one, or cell 1, cell 2, cell 3, cell 4. So this is 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, and. So that was cells 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, use any sort of counting system that you like. I was brought up on the number system. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. When you get to 16th notes, it's the 1-enda, 2-enda. The only thing I see that's flawed in that system really is when you hit triplets or like a compound meter with an 8 in the bottom. You can't really count. Or maybe there is a counting. I don't know. I've just heard triplet. I would stay away from saying 1-enda, 2-enda, because that refers to like a rhythm that's like one of these. Oops, I'm like off the grid right here. Let me redo that for you. It refers to maybe something that looks more like this, like 1-enda. I would count this as 1-enda. I wouldn't say that that's 1-enda is like a very triplet like thing. So anyway, I digress. So you could use the Tadi, the Takadimi, whatever type system you want, or the Indian Tadin Takada. I don't know how it all goes, but anyway, use any system that you're comfortable with. But basically, what you're going to do is you're just going to go through these. You don't have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, right? After you've done that, mix it up. Maybe try 4 to 1 to 2, then to 3, right? So you can do that. So basically what you're doing is you're getting fluid with just rapidly spitting out rhythms, because when we're improvising, you can refer back to this and use it sort of like a palette, like a painter's palette. We're going to be talking a lot about palettes through this video series. So if we move on, you can see these cells. I have 8 cells here, and these are 2-beat cells, right? So you can move through these. It's a little more complex, right, because we're dealing with 2 beats now. There are a lot more possibilities, as you could see down in like numbers like 5 to 8. There's some syncopation in here. You throw in the rests, and obviously this isn't every single possible combination. So what I was talking about with you going above and beyond here and kind of being your own teacher, because experiencing something is the best way to go through it. And I also think that teaching is a very good way to learn yourself. It kind of solidifies all the ideas that you have when you can come up with it in some type of organized, coherent manner. But anyway, so cells 5, 6, 7, 8, these have a little more syncopation in them, so these might be ones that you'd want to focus on, if you're not as rhythmically strong. So, again, you take these the same way. Maybe I'd start with 1, and then I'd go to 6, and then 3 and 7, maybe, right? So, these are just rhythmic ideas that you could be spitting out at any time. So, one exercise that you could do is you could just, get a backtracking. Go on YouTube. There are so many backtrackings on YouTube. Get yourself a backtracking so you're not worried about comping your own chords while you're soloing. Or maybe that is a thing for you and you'd like to comp your own chords while you're soloing if you're a piano player or maybe even a guitar player. So, anyway, get a backtracking. And then just find the tonic pitch, and then go through all of these cells. Work on using these cells at like rapid fire. Don't you can make a path for yourself and say, oh, I'm going to play 1, then 6, 3, 7, or as you get more comfortable with that, you can just look at these cells, and as the changes are going by, you could hit 4 and then just move to 5, 7, 1, 3, 6, and just move on indefinitely until like you're hitting all the cells and you're going to different spots and such, you know. That would be a good way to, get used to the fluidity of using these different rhythms. And, don't limit yourself to this. Throw in 16th notes. Throw in some dotted stuff. Put in some triplets. Make your own rhythmic cells. This is just the framework, the ideas for you to get going. Now, see, when I was talking to you about these 4 cells and how they're a little harder than you might think, is I'm going to refer back to these cells a bunch. So if you think like that this is simple because there's only one beat here, well, actually, I think personally it would be easier for you to come up with cells in larger chunks because there are less variable of where they will lie inside a measure. Like this cell number 1, that's just a quarter note, but you can use this quarter note on beat 1, 2, 3, or 4 in a measure. You could even use it on the ands or the uhs or the e's of places in a measure, and that's where it gets a little more difficult. Displacing the time inside the measure. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for this rhythmic video, and let's get into some tunes and some playing.